What is up, everybody? So we will be here today casting a wonderful match of Core Overflow versus DLS. I cannot wait for it. And yeah, it's always a wonder to watch DLS play. These is such a dominant team. And then, like you just mentioned before with Light, we were expecting to see them right at the top alongside DLS going into this NASL kind of split. But Core Overflow has been popping off. So it's a wonder. Anyone can take this. DLS is not guaranteed this top spot, right? We have contenders, and Core Overflow is one of them.
Yeah, and Core Overflow takes that top spot with a tie or a win. Honestly, you could say that they're more favored here.
It is crazy because right now they have the same record here, right? But they have a slight advantage in the standings from points. So it is DLS who must go 2-0 in order to take this win all the way, if they want that first seed in the playoffs at least.
All right, so we're heading into game any minute now. Core Overflow versus Dog Like Spike, and on Night Market, Mystic.
Okay, Night Market. This is actually one of my personal or more enjoyable maps here. I think it's like a neutral map. There's less killing going overall, and having control of that middle speed boost really is such a key thing for midfielders to play around, right? The player who can play around the speed gate in the middle tends to have more control, and that usually ends up leading to either points getting secured or being able to hold it down if you're in a losing position. And starting off, was that the Juno ban?
Huh. What are your thoughts, Mystic, on that particular ban?
The Juno ban. I'm not sure what the starting awakening is, but it's really interesting. It has to be something like Hot Shot, Deadeye. I don't know for them to take out Juno, because I know Vaughn has been playing Juno, and he can play it completely fine in this level of like he can take it out just fine in NASL. So I don't think it's like a bad ban, but not one that I would have personally went for.
Yeah.
But
oh, I'll let you cook.
And then I was gonna say we'll find out more once we get into game and then see the awakenings, right? To give a little bit of understanding. Monumentalist Catalyst. Okay, so the Monumentalist is the reason why that ban came out, but I would have personally taken out the Era.
Yeah, and the goalie picks we see here, the Aimee versus the Kai, I think in general, Streak looking for that more offensive sort of playstyle, while Megaverse trying to be that wall type of player here.
Yeah, Megaverse is known for his Kai and more recently his Rasmus goalie, but we have not seen him pick up the Aimee here. And right now, oh my god, immediately the core flip from Ginger Pop and then getting taken out right away after that. It is DLS who are down both barriers here and a member. Elo have been playing really aggressively, sitting in the goal box, trying to make something happen here. It's into Overflow's job to get that rock to him. And Streak holding it down really well, applying that additional pressure from the Aimee. He has his own core flip for the defense. So they're looking really strong going into this first point so far.
Yeah, and in Overflow, just running the midfield here, forcing the core flip out from Megaverse, and now Streak with the flip, the almost demon angle, and that's the first goal for Core Overflow.
Starting off really strong here, using their core, it is Core Overflow using their energy burst or their flips aggressively, while DLS has to use them so much more defensively. And one thing that we should also mention here, it is Vaughn playing forward, and Vaughn actually, props to Vaughn for getting the kill on Juliet here, because I was going to say that their star forward of Bells is unavailable right now, right? This is like a huge change in the roster, because Bells is quite possibly the #1 forward in all of NA. So not having him changes things up. And while Vaughn is a amazing player, he is more known for either his goalie or his midfield. So this is kind of like the last role you would expect to see him on. But constant back and forth happening here. It is I don't even know it's into Overflow taken out from Core Overflow, and it is Vaughn gone from DLS.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I'm fine with seeing Vaughn here. Although he isn't Bells, he is probably the best dribbler in the entire game. So if he can find open space, if he can find Streak without cooldowns, he can probably dribble his way to victory, especially if Gingerpop assists with the passing play. But the defense from Core Overflow is just too much, and In Overflow looks for the goal, but no, it is defended.
A good hold from them, not having to use any flip, at least from Gingerpop here. They finally get their first point where they have both barriers, and now they have an opportunity to score. Gingerpop trying so hard not to use his flip and trying to use it aggressively, and during that time, it is Gingerpop who manages to score. I didn't even see how that went in. I just saw it slowly bounce off the bottom of the wall and then find its way in there.
Yeah, it was this really weird angle. Megaverse cleared it up, Giga Blasted it, Gingerpop I think got a hand on it, and it just got past Streak. That Aimee, the strike hitbox is tiny after all, one of the balancing factors of this character with so much midfield core control, and the barrier taken away from Core Overflow. DLS looking really good in this first interaction, but Vaughn going down means that they have to use their flips to stall for time.
Yeah, and it's Elo Heaven who's been putting a lot of work in getting the kills for Core Overflow here, and that's the second one. He's just made this into a 3v1, but they must score on Megaverse, and this guy is the Iron Wall. Look at that, while down 1v3, manages to reverse it and get the barrier here, and it is Core Overflow who get absolutely nothing out of it. They might have an opportunity to get the last barrier, but Megaverse is holding it down amazingly.
Yeah, and now Vaughn with the pressure, Gingerpop coming into assist with the pass, waits, but Streak also. And now Vaughn and Gingerpop a little desperate for the goal, but In and Elo have the connection, they have the barrier, and In pushes up, hazardous car shotgun, but it is just short, and Streak's turret is a little bit late to the push, but Elo getting the kill means that the goal is still a possibility, especially with Streak's flip. He's trying to walk up.
Yeah, one thing to note is that on Night Market now, because of the Aimee nerf that just happened last week, it's 80 range off the primary, and great interrupting that is Elo Heaven. Core flip into the shot, giving no opportunity there for the save, finding the perfect angle there, and now giving them the advantage in this first round here, 2-1.
Yep, and I think the main thing we'll have to look for is if Elo Heaven can get those KOs, because we've seen Vaughn get caught out a little bit, and those 3v2 situations are where Core Overflow just presses the advantage, gets the barriers, and gets the goals.
Yeah, and take a look at Vaughn, already staggered here. He has no abilities, or I believe he has abilities. Elo Heaven, who wasn't able to secure it completely. But Vaughn having to just run around right now and live, which means he's not applying pressure. And it's Megaverse who's walking up to try to substitute for Vaughn while we go for this push here. And it is working so far. But Megaverse using that flip, not having it land on anything here, and into Overflow is able to trade one barrier back. Vaughn finally able to heal up and participate in the game once again, and into Overflow trying to find his own opportunity to flip. Gingerpop forced to use his, but now he has absolutely no way to defend, and with the new change to Juliet here with the buff, staggered enemies can no longer elusive. I don't think there was enough to elusive there, but it's something to keep in mind that we're going to see Juliet start getting way more kills, and Elo Heaven, great patience there. Finding the angle through Vaughn, through Megaverse, and once again, we're seeing those like bottom corner shots happen super frequently. It is round 1 going over to Core Overflow.
Yeah, and as we head into the Awakening draft, Streak has the pick of the litter. What are you looking at, Mystic, for these goalies who are the first and second picks?
Oh, this is interesting here. So I honestly don't even know what he wants. So it's specialized training. I think he's just doing that to take it away from Kai. There's nothing really particular here that that Aimee wants to take. We're just seeing the build different, go to Megaverse to deny it from Juliet. If Elo Heaven was able to pick that up, it'd be absolutely monstrous. I think a huge pickup here, and one of the deciding ones, is going to be Gingerpop getting the rapid fire, because now he'll have way more time or more opportunities or uptime on that Bewitching Beam and just focus on Elo Heaven, right? Elo Heaven is creating so much pressure on his Juliet. He is getting all the chaos, right? He is making the room. He is the one who's making space for Into Overflow to work his magic. So it is Gingerpop's, it's kind of like on Gingerpop right now to start Bewitching Beaming him, making him small, making Vaughn big, and giving them some breathing room. So we see here, it's like Gingerpop isn't landing it on Elo Heaven. He hit Vaughn with that last one, and because of that, they're still able to take out Vaughn. So I'm hoping we can see a little bit more happen here, because Into Overflow also has the heavy impact, which is going to help out for just more stuffing. You hit 2 things and all of a sudden you get, I think it's 25% cooldown back. But man, it is looking so strong here from Core Overflow.
Yeah, and Core Overflow's damage advantage in this round seems like this round is inevitable for them because they're just getting KO after KO. They got a KO on Vaughn, they stagger Ginger Pop, they get a KO on Ginger Pop, they stagger Vaughn, and now they get the goal as well. They're just taking everything.
Yeah, they're doing really well at coordinating who they want the damage on. And for the most part, it is almost Vaughn getting taken out completely. And Ginger Pop, he can't really substitute for Vaughn as a forward, right? Like, it's not that type of character where if Vaughn isn't out there, all Ginger Pop can really do is stall out. Meanwhile, Drakkar, like if Elo Heaven gets taken out for whatever reason, into Overflow on Drakkar can finish things up, right? The shotgun is just that powerful, and especially now with heavy impact. It's just easier to get these KOs, to stagger, or to stuff, because you just have more shotgun shots and more damage. But Vaughn, finally, while he's able to participate in this game, was able to get both barriers, and now they are in opportunity to score here. Elo Heaven using his core flip defensively, walking up into Overflow, able to secure that barrier with the shotgun, uses the flip, and he finds the angle once again.
And what an unfortunate bounce for Megaverse on that clear. Definitely was going for something a little different, but it just ricochets right to in Overflow perfectly, leaves the bottom open, and DLS are going to have to make something huge happen if they're going to win this one, but Vaughn not getting the KO there, and it's looking like it's slipping out of reach.
And Streak finding the glitch pop on Vaughn while he was stuck between the turret, and then it is into Overflow who got the second kill over there. And it's, once again, it's like Core Overflow has a man advantage the entire time this game is going on, and that secures round 2 for them.
What a dominant round for Core Overflow. And this draft better have something in the infinites for DLS, but no, it is just a poor bulk up.
So it's going to be Streak once again on that first pick here. It's kind of unfortunate that all the orbs are available because it makes him lose value. I'm not sure if he takes okay, he takes Castellaz, which is interesting. He doesn't want it to make it down all the way to Era because that plus the rapid fire could be a big deal. I'm curious as to what people's thoughts are on Fire Up. It seems to be a really strong goalie pickup at the moment. So Megaverse getting Fire Up is going to be a pretty big deal. And then on top of that, the Fire Up combo with Egoist while they have Catalyst, by the way. Because the Ginger Pop didn't take Timeless Creator. But he has the Catalyst, he has Egoist, and then it is Megaverse who will be able to provide, I think it's 40% energy, or 30% energy, over to his teammates when he flips, and then that 40% team-wide speed boost. So Ginger Pop is going to have a lot of movement speed. And already, we see a little bit of quick turnaround for DLS getting both barriers while they actually have both of their own barriers up here. Elo Heaven, though, not showing any signs of slowing down, getting consistent KOs anytime he finds that opportunity, kind of showing like, hey Vaughn, I know you're playing forward today, but I'm the Juliet player.
Yeah, and that feels extra rough because this entire game plan is now built around getting Ginger Pop, the core, trying to get that flip value, but if Ginger Pop is KO'd with 2 bars, one of those bars is just missing. It's gone in the void. Vaughn looking for an angle, but Streak with the defense reads the pass, stands in front of Ginger Pop, and now with the flip, gets the barrier as well. Streak, an amazing defense, and now looking to do even more. Getting it past Vaughn, no, but the rebound back, and now Elo Heaven will be able to get it past in Overflow as well, but unfortunately they're a little grouped. And now the flip, no, but in Overflow gets the flip again. Megaverse with the clear up, but the defense on both sides just a little too good at the moment.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out here is the attacks that are coming out from DLS are nowhere near to the level of the ones from Core Overflow, right? Like these shots on goal are way easier for Streak to defend than it is for Megaverse, because the way they're approaching, it's not like they're not using abilities to actually shoot it in because they don't have them. They're just trying to walk up, and they're going to have to blow all these cooldowns just to live, to get out of sticky situation, or to bring the core up. But every time they go for an attack here, but there it is, right? Well, he has the dash punch, he's able to get it, and I don't even know, that's like the second point of the entire game for DLS. They got one in round 1, and you know, this is the first time they scored a point, but they are up in this round, so maybe they have a chance. But it's like, if you have the abilities on, oh my goodness, I was gonna say, if you have the abilities on Juliet to score, it becomes significantly easier. But those previous shots were almost nothing, and it's Vaughn getting taken out once again. I don't even know when the last time Elo Heaven was taken out. It feels like Vaughn is consistently out of the game. He's kind of gray screened the entire time. He might unironically be dead more than he is alive, and it is now Ginger Pop who gets taken out, and it's Elo Heaven putting on so much pressure here. I'm not sure what he's getting the speed boost from. I cannot remember what awakenings he has. But the team tag that is going on here on this bottom barrier, and now Megaverse having to hold down this game while it's just either 1v3 or 2v3. How do you do it?
Yeah, and importantly, as you said, DLS has to burn resources to get it out of their half. When the core is in DLS's half, Core Overflow has all the resources they need. They had 2 flips to burn on that offense. Even when they were defended, they had the normal pressure with abilities as well. The resource differential is just too much this game.
Yeah, a little bit of funny core flips from Elo Heaven. Into Overflow was going to be able to secure that shot, but Elo Heaven core flipped it before and gave Megaverse the opportunity to save it, which in hindsight, not that big of a deal. They were able to score, but it's one less flip that they have now going into this point. And it's Vaughn once again staggered. Where can he go? He has no elusive anymore, right? He is back from being cracked, but it's like you're just blowing everything to live. They don't have any offensive flips from DLS ever. But Vaughn actually doing a good job here, getting that first barrier, getting the second barrier as well through the Imi turret. But Elo Heaven and Streak have their flips defensively, and they be able to support Megaverse using his to protect that final barrier, giving his team that speed boost that they desperately need. And finally, it's Into Overflow getting that last barrier, putting himself in a position to score. Nice Giga Blast from Megaverse, able to secure that, but Ginger Pop could be taken out here any moment. And his Streak kind of stalling out for a little bit to make sure his forwards get in position for a pass. Vaughn not able to finish off Elo Heaven here. He uses his entire cooldown, dash punch, everything. The flurry is out, and he lives. Look at the level differential, and Ginger Pop taken out, and the core just slowly goes in there.
Yep, and 1 goal away for Core Overflow. If they win this, they're guaranteed first seed right here, right now. This is the goal, and the streak has flipped, so we'll have to see if DLS can hold on.
All they need is 1 more point here, and look at the level gap, right? It is so much more in the favor of Core Overflow. Vaughn, because he's so far behind, he doesn't have the stagger to keep up. But just as I say that, Ginger Pop doing Ginger Pop things, showing how good he is in the midfield, getting both barriers. They have the ability here to turn it around. They're only 2 points down, right? 1 more point and they tie up this round, and 1 more from there to go into at least turning this game around. But Vaughn trying to tank the turret, getting hit constantly, hit stun in the middle of that Polar Express there. Ginger Pop holding onto his flip, but could very well die here. No, he does use it to save it just for a second longer. Not Into Overflow. Elo Heaven is playing so aggressively here, does not care that he's staggered because he just wants to end this round, putting himself in a position where he could easily die, and there he goes. But well worth the attack, I feel like. And a pretty easy save there from Megaverse, holding it down just a little bit longer. And I think Streak is going to just try to stall as long as he can. Puts the turret down preemptively, just to buy himself a little bit more time. Elo Heaven makes it back, and Vaughn might be taken out here, but no, it's Ginger Pop going for the kill with the tornado. Great thing. I think first time Elo Heaven's been taken out. And can they score here? Looks like no.
And that was such a cursed bounce, and the pass. Oh wow, I didn't even think that it would make it out of their half because Streak hit it basically towards the center. Elo Heaven managed to clear it, but unfortunately that panic clear went directly back to DLS, and they got the passing play. Now they have a chance. They need this goal desperately.
Yeah, it was actually that kill on Into Overflow was absolutely massive, right? But just not seeing the tornado, and you get caught off guard, and if you're close to the edge, you just get dragged away. But Streak, the goalie, for the first time is taken down by Vaughn. The Juliet dash punch is able to secure it. Now Into Overflow has to walk back and try to play goalie for the next 5 seconds while Streak is gone. They were able to get one barrier off, and honestly, that's good enough. That was like a pretty good conversion from that first kill. But Ginger Pop looking really low here. Trade one barrier back, finally healed up a little bit, but Vaughn is going to get taken out, right? He has 1 more elusive bar left, and if that goes off, he is taken off the map in the next interaction. Streak using that aggressive ultimate while he has the barrier up, doing so much damage. He has a specialized training. It does so much. Megaverse most likely going to get taken out next too, but no, good Giga Blast from him to push Elo Heaven off, but because of that, he didn't have any abilities to protect that last barrier. Using the barrage, he is able to save it from the shotgun. Vaughn coming back from spawn, able to pick it up, and now they're looking to get their own barrier, but it's always in the goal of DLS here. How do they protect? Megaverse is gone. Ginger Pop is cracked. He's trying to save his core flip, but by doing so, it makes him so vulnerable, and there it is. The turret plays down perfectly. There's simply so much pressure. It was impossible, and that is Core Overflow, from what you just said, Saya, taking the first seed of the NASL playoff.
Yep, at that first seed, you get to pick your opponent versus the 3rd and 4th seeds, a huge privilege. And DLS, they're still 2nd seed. You still have that advantage, but it must feel real bad right now because this is the game you needed to get that top spot. But
and No, I was going to say is the change up in the team comp, right? Having to pull Megaverse in for goalie, who is a phenomenal goalie. But I think it's the lack of bells on the forward that is such a big deal here, because you saw how often Elo Heaven was able to take out Vaughn, and I wasn't able to take a look at the kills there, but it was consistently Elo Heaven getting multiple kills, and even into Overflow securing some himself. It was a constant one man up, 3v2 on four core Overflow, and they just made so much more pressure for Megaverse. If we had a stat such as ball possession or time spent on half, you would be able to see how much of the game was spent on DLS's half or in their goal box. So that is something that, let's see maybe if the map changes up, because I know that DLS is really strong on Oni Village. So if they get something like that or Atlas Lab, they'll go in with that advantage. But I'm not sure how they'll play on other maps. Like we just saw the Night Market come out. We don't know how the Amy's app performs, or I'm missing one of the maps here, but it's all good. Like I said, Oni Village or Atlas Lab, and we'll see things change up. I think that's what DLS needs right now. Overall, maybe we can play either a double midfield comp. I want to see on Drakkar or maybe Rasmus, because at least Rasmus has the ability to play a little bit of midfield and forward, and I think that will suit him better, because Elo Heaven was just so dominant on the Juliet there. But we'll see what changes going into the second match. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to play without bells, like you said. They'll have to change up their comp, I think, to play around it, because Vaughn on the Brawler, I feel, especially with Ginger Pop on Era, is just not going to cut it against these high damage compositions. But I could be wrong. We're getting another caster in because I am purely a sub this time. This is it for me. Back to behind the scenes. We'll cut to a break, and after the break, it'll be Mystic and Magic 8 Ball.
Okay, see you soon for game 2.
Hello, all you wonderful people. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to NASL Week 4, the last week before the playoffs start. I'm your Magic 8 Ball. I'm joined by Mystic, and I apologize for my absence. Was supposed to be here. My power went out 7 minutes before we went live. So, we're back. Everything's fine. Mystic, this game doesn't have much of an impact on the playoff picture, but it's going to be interesting to see nonetheless.
Yeah, it's still going to be two high-level teams playing at it. I want to see what the adjustments are. I'm actually more curious about the adaptation here. Of, we saw the game 1 happen. It was so dominant for Core Overflow. I want to see how well DLS is at adapting, because they are a team that can easily win this, given the right game plan and strategy, and if they pull it off. Even without bells, we have Jijapop, Vaughn, and Megaverse, who are all extremely high-level players, and there's absolutely no reason that they can't take the win over here. So I'm interested in seeing how the game plan changes and what kind of Core Overflow does. Whether they stick to the guns, the Aimee, Juliet, and Drakkar. I wonder what the bans are going to be. Anything can happen. But it is, like you said, not as impactful to the playoffs. I think it's set in stone at this point with Core Overflow at 1 and DLS at 2. But either way, this is a match between Seed 1 and Seed 2. It's always going to be entertaining to see.
These are the best of the best playing against one another and pushing each other to their limits. It's also gonna depend obviously on the map and mode. I don't think that we have that info quite yet, but it could be anything, right? And that's the fun of Omega Strikers, is that anything can happen. And I believe we're getting into game right now, actually.
Yeah, I got Atlas Lab behind me. I'm hoping to see an Atlas Lab when we go in. So let's see what the map and the starting awakenings are.
Oni Village going to be having those speedways on the sides. We're seeing some interesting hovers and very, very useful awakenings for multiple characters here. But the prime time going to be probably what we're going to be seeing a lot, especially with some Kais in the goalie or even on the forward.
Yeah, this is, so I was mentioning it before. This particular map, Oni Village, is one of like DLS's favorite maps. I don't know about favorite, but they are such a dominant team on this map, whether it's in solo queue or in competitive play here. And Vaughn is known for bringing out the Kai forward specifically on this map. But it's looking like something completely different. I did not expect to see Ginger Pop pick up the X and Vaughn on the Luna, so we have the prime time start. This is absolutely insane here. And Megaverse hovering over the Jakar, but I've seen him play Rasmus on here primarily. So let's see if he locks in the Rasmus, and he does. I think he's very comfortable on the Rasmus here. He has the prime time start and Powerhouse Pauldrons to give him that size increase, but no one really opting in for a Timeless Creator champion, right? Someone like a Rune could have been really powerful here, or even Aimi.
I think both of those actually got banned.
Oh, I didn't even see the ban. Yes, I saw the Aimi ban.
I think it was actually, they banned Ginger Pop's Rune and deciding to switch over to this X as we get onto this match in Oni Village. Kickoff going to be starting up quickly, and like you said, they had to change up something, and this is definitely a change.
This is a huge change up, and one thing we're seeing the shift here is Vaughn going really deep in already, but wasn't able to secure that first barrier. But oh my goodness, taken out immediately. I don't even know how. Where did It Overflow go?
I think it was a rocket to send him to the space, actually, because that's exactly where he would be going.
My God, say hello to the stars for me. And. Or, sorry, it is DLS starting off strong, getting a barrier. They had the kill up, but Ginger Pop getting taken out immediately. And yeah, like I like the change up here that they are doing. Vaughn is known for his Luna. He's one of the few Luna players in just Omega Strikers at a high level play, especially forward here. So it's always a sight to see when he brings it out, because almost everyone gets to learn a little bit about how to play this character. But Ginger Pop on X is something that I don't know too much about, right? So this is a little bit of an unknown factor here, and I'm curious how this plays out.
It seems like he's sending out the question marks, doesn't exactly know where he should be positioned, standing there waiting for the core to fly his way, and it does. Gonna try and send Elo Heaven out of bounds, but gonna be brought right back in, thanks to the Atlas expansion. But overall, like, Streak, even though not on that Aimi like we usually see, is looking pretty comfortable on this Atlas, as Elo Heaven sneaks that one right through Megaverse.
Yeah, Megaverse walked up a little too far. He was trying to clear it down, I think, the lane, but had an awkward bounce off of his Whiplash that sent it pretty much up to Elo Heaven. But no worries, they're looking a lot better at the start for DLS here, so I'm expecting this to work out a little bit more in their favor. And I know Megaverse is very confident on the Rasmus, and he'll be able to apply some good damage pressure if he can get something like Built Different or Big Fish. The character size model, it becomes absolutely massive when you start off with Pauldrons too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the fact that you can just start really stacking those and give it that one more extra buff is going to be important. But what's also important is that Ginger Pop could not seem to land his damage during those trades, and fortunately Vaughn is able to pick it back up where he left off. They're going to be a 2v2 for now. Ginger Pop finally standing at the top of the...
I think he might have DC'd for a second there, the way he kind of clicked into the wall.
And he's still going!
I see him bouncing around. Okay, a little bit of unfortunate circumstance for Ginger Pop here, but hopefully that gets settled up. Vaughn is putting in work. We just saw the way he got that kill, I think, into Overflow, using that rocket jump, plus the primary. And now getting the first barrier here, Elo Heaven can get taken out at any moment, and we have such a long cooldown on the Atlas ultimate here to save that even though it is an option to protect his teammates here, you know, Streak might not be able to do it all the time with how much pressure we got between Ginger Pop and Vaughn, but the goalie is gone. Magic 8-Ball, where'd he go?
He went right into Elo Heaven, is exactly where he went. just getting absolutely dumpstered after a few really good saves. Elo haven't decided, all right, we need to kick this guy out of here. But Streak, unfortunately, not able to save that last barrier as well, so it was open goals on both sides. Not able to stay alive during this power play is going to be Ginger Pop, and Info Overflow has that core flip, and Elo Heaven has the speed. Not able to secure this one. Megaverse is able to play so much good defense with Vaughn, both on the bottom line, as they just keep going, but Elo Heaven knows exactly where to position after those ping pongs with his brother, and lands that one to secure the set. We're going to the draft, but this is looking like Core Overflow is still the dominant presence.
Yeah, let's see if this draft can change anything up here. So we have Extra Special, which is going to be a priority pick here for someone. It's just such a strong awakening. I wonder who takes it. So it is immediately taken by, who's that? Elo Heaven picking that up, right? Just denying it overall from Megaverse. We have Fire Up going to Streak, which is such a huge pickup, to be honest. Fire Up is such a good goalie awakening, because you typically end up using your core flips defensively, but now you have the opportunity to just like, hey, I'm playing like a support character, I'm going to provide you with a speed buff and give like 60% collective energy to my teammates.
Right, try and play more of that true support style that we see in other games like other MOBAs, and giving so many buffs, as these buffs are really helpful to get these first two goal barriers down. Elo Heaven looking a little bit staggered. They seem to not have the cooldowns at the ready. They used a lot of them to try and keep that goals from going up, and it's not looking too good right now. Megaverse trying to keep that one alive, gonna have to force out a rocket jump from Vaughn as one more player gets sent into Staggered Nation, and it's so rough because you seem like they've such good opportunities for conversions on the side of DLS, but just can't quite secure it.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, it would be really good if Ginger Pop was able to pick up something like Tempo Swing, or just to stay alive a little bit longer, because they have the Atlas to back up Core Overflow. But they have no way of healing up, and as Megaverse trying to eliminate Elo Heaven here, and at least pulling him out of the picture enough to give Vaughn the opportunity to score there.
Vaughn getting an absolute fadeaway, getting sent into that side of the arena and getting sent out, but not before sneaking it right past Streak. And this is looking much better on the side of DLS. If the fact that they can keep up this kind of pressure, if the fact that Extra Special is going to be really, really firing away from Elo Heaven is not going to deter them at all.
And let's see, are they able to... No, but what an amazing play! It was Vaughn trying to go to take away Elo Heaven, but he uses the Death Touch there and yank Vaughn completely. So now Core Overflow is up. They get both barriers here, trading one back, but who cares, to be honest, because they still have that last one. Now they're in a position to score. Vaughn had a little bit of an emote bug here. He has to press an emote again to get rid of that, but it's kind of funny staring at the emote on top
No,
of
I think he's gonna keep it. Honestly, I can see it just being
it's a moral
super
boost.
Annoying. Yeah, exactly. Vaughn is a player who definitely understands the mind games and is going to abuse that as much as he can, I'm sure. In Overflow, not going to be getting sent away by Megaverse's primary, but is still staying staggered just like Ginger Pop. And Vaughn and Elo Heaven are just going back and forth trying to get the core past one another. Well, ult comes online and into Overflow is fine, but it doesn't mean it's going to be for long and forever. Forcing out some energies from the players of Core Overflow is Vaughn, as this open net and this power play is still going strong. Almost has the core flip ready. He could stall if he just gets a couple more hits, and Ginger Pop is finally back online. DLS really wants to get this one and show that they can still hang with this gang and maybe get a goal or two and hopefully secure this match in the long run and only end up with a tie, but they need to get this goal barrier.
Yeah, they are up the 1 point in this round, and Elo Heaven is ready to get taken out. Atlas should not have his ultimate here, and good defense from Megaverse and Vaughn. Let's see, are they able to eliminate Elo Heaven? And almost, they at least drag him out to the side of the map here, but Vaughn might get traded back. Honestly, they're both looking really low, and here's the Atlas ultimate. As long as they're not standing in it, it's kind of not serving too much pressure. And there it is, Megaverse using his own Death Touch to yank Elo Heaven all the way back, but now they have to convert this into something. Otherwise, we're just going to have... Elo Heaven back in like 2 seconds.
And I think it's going to be so hard to get this past Streak that they need to trying to bully him or something, but Ginger Pop gets bullied instead. No energy for Int Overflow is going to get kicked away, but not going to get sent completely KO'd, as Vaughn finally has enough time to spare and get Ginger Pop back online, who's multiple levels down at this point, and a couple of stutters, and Overflow is gone, and so is the goalie. Streak ends up going a little bit too far, and Vaughn is able to send that one in. This is looking like DLS finally waking up, finally getting alive, and Ginger Pop getting that KO means he's back up to snuff with levels. This is huge.
Yeah, there was a little bit of stuttering going on, and all of a sudden I see one frame where Int Overflow is on the screen, and then the next one he isn't. They were able to get 2 KOs, and maybe that's the plan, right? You just have to put so much pressure in that eventually, even through the Atlas healing and the revives, that you just have to keep KOing them through, and then that is how you eventually score. Because at least Ginger Pop and Vaughn have caught up in levels, because that was one thing where Ginger Pop was getting taken out so frequently just by being down, right? He didn't have the stagger to keep up, and now look at him bullying, and there we go. We're finally seeing some aggression coming out from DLS. I like to see it.
This is exactly what you need to see. The Luna and the X should have more damage in the long run, especially after they get their awakenings, which they finally got a decent draft from that first one. And it looks like now the members of Core Overflow are struggling to deal with it, but Elo Heaven decides, I'm just going to yank away my problems, and so he does. That's Ginger Pop gone, and even though he's feeling the pressure a little bit as well, is going to get saved by that ultimate. The open net though, and no strike up because he used it just a touch too early, and that Streak letting that one go by. Megaverse beautifully knocking that one in, and this is an even Stevens game.
Yeah, we're finally going back round 1, or sorry, this is now round 3, but we are 1-1. It's infinite built different, which is absolutely insane here, right? It means that it's going to be both Rasmus's and most likely Ginger Pop picking that up. I'm not sure if they want anything else. I am a personal big fan of stacks on stacks, but with how much KOs is happening here, you know, it's hard to take. So let's see if everyone just kind of opts in for build different or not. I think the Jakar might go for hot shot. It just makes it a lot easier to score, but no, opting in for build different because he wants to at least be able to trade back. I think the reasoning behind here is if I opt in for build different alongside Elo Heaven, then we'll have way more KO potential, and that is how we are going to fight back.
I really like this pickup from Ginger Pop, actually, the reverberation. Your main way of getting damage is to make sure that you have your cooldowns up constantly, and that's going to help out with that, but also the stagger to help him fight a little bit more is actually going to be really important. And look at how large Megaverse is, walking all the way forward, even though this net is completely open. No worries at all. Going to yoink that one away from Elo Heaven's grasp, and is going to send that one into both goal barriers because Streak was standing a little bit too far forward. Into Overflow is staggered, and so is almost Elo Heaven, but he's got the secondary and is going to send that one in. Oh, it was such a good opportunity, but a really good recovery from Core Overflow.
Yeah, really good cast of the Whiplash there, right? The second cast of it having that instant spin there, which is a light hit, but there's no casting animation. Oh my goodness, Vaughn immediately taking out into Overflow here. It's like the Luna with the glass cannon and the prime time does so much damage here. Are you familiar with what he took in this particular draft? Because I don't remember if it helped out with his damage.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like it was something that helped out with damage, because if not, then I don't know what in the world is going on, because he's putting out so much more. It's honestly impressive, but we'll figure that one out. Elo Heaven is going to get bounced around at least a little bit more, as Megaverse is going to be large and in charge in this goal. Gonna try and get this KO. Vaughn really wants to make sure that Elo Heaven gets sent away because of that pressure. Megaverse is getting really beaten down here. Gonna have to stick towards his side, as Vaughn is gonna have to probably act as substitute goalie for the time being. It is gonna be able to do so successfully for a while, but no, Elo Heaven sending that hook down. It's so tough again.
It looks like the double built different. Oh, and he took missile pop, right? So that's an extra 15% damage on the primary. And oh my goodness, that was a kill on top of getting the Atlas ultimate out, which is absolutely big. But I was going to say, going into these first 2 points here for Overflow, using the build difference so aggressively here, putting on so much damage, and they're trading these kills back or getting their own. And now Streak might be taken out too. Look at how low he is. He has to walk up just to run away and stay alive as long as possible. I think they're putting a little bit too much resources or time in trying to get rid of Streak, right? Once he starts walking up like that, just ignore him and go for the goal. And it is Ginger Pop taken out here, and now they are down one man on DLS, trading the barrier back 1-1, but Ginger Pop does find his way back. He needs to get a KO here and start making things happen. Otherwise, in the 2v2 or the 3v3, it is Core Overflow who is able to progress the map more.
I'm sorry, what just happened? Like, the goalie got staggered, walked all the way to the other side of the map, and then one of the players on the opposite team from that gets KO'd, not that goalie that was staggered, and literally went for a jog. This is hilarious, but this is also the highest level of Omega Strikers because you can do things like that and get away with it, and you know when you can get away with it. I can't tell if it's impressive or crazy or nuts or whatever, but Ginger Pop gets a KO here on the streak, finally, after so long, and is going to be able to secure this goal barrier and probably this goal.
I'm loving the play style coming out of Ginger Pop right now. He's channeling a little bit of Oki inside of him. He's a believer of the church, and there it is. Gets the point. It's like we see the question mark things coming out. This is dark Ginger Pop right here. And this is what DLS needs.
Is this the villain arc for Dog-like Spike? I could be, and if it is, I am here for it. Vaughn is looking like he's going wild on these emotes, and so is Ginger Pop. They are having no mercy, but right back, Core Overflow is not having any mercy on them, sending them into the blast zone at any and every opportunity. And that's a double KO. 3v1 power play, and Megaverse is going to stay standing for at least a little bit longer.
Yeah, at least Ginger Pop's level 8 here, so he should be able to hold it down until Vaughn gets back, which he is. If they can make him pass this round with some priority in the carousel, Ginger Pop might be able to pick up something like Big Fish or Tempo Swing, which will be absolutely huge. Getting another kill, putting him at level 9, which is finally catching up, or higher than the forwards of Core Overflow here. It's still Megaverse and Vaughn at level 10 though, who have been getting the vast majority of the KOs of DLS, I should say.
And look at that, Vaughn knowing exactly where to place his damage so that if he doesn't hit the core, he's hitting into Streak, and Ginger Pop is trying to follow up on it. Not going to be able to get the KO onto Streak this time around. Instead, it's going to be Ginger Pop that's getting yoinked into the side of the arena, and Megaverse has core flip, so things should be fine during this power play. They can just hold on for a little bit longer. This is where you see Oni Village taking its full effect.
Although the barrier just went down right there, absolute props to Megaverse for holding it down for so long. Those are not easy saves. It's back-to-back clears that, you know, and majority of the other goalies in this league would not be able to do. And it's Ginger Pop. Actually, we're gonna call him Popsicle here, because that is the dark version of Ginger Pop coming out. And my God, I am here for it. I want to see more of this. Win this and get possible.
The alter ego of Ginger Pop, Popsicle, is alive and well, but unfortunately, those pings are gonna let that core slip through. Core Overflow is up 2-1 in this set. They just need 3 more goals, and they've got this one secured as the top dog in this league.
So it is into Overflow, who will have priority here on the carousel. I don't know if he's going to deny Big Fish. He is, okay. Because he does not want it to go into anyone. Either Rasmus or X there, right? Because if they could get it would actually be a huge turnaround here. We have heavy impact taken for Megaverse and peak performance on Ginger Pop, which is going to be pretty nice because he already has Reverberation. So he has that 2-item spike of the stagger plus the additional bonuses. So he'll have a little bit more CDR plus a decent amount of speed, which is really helpful on Oni Village when you're kind of just like ball chasing half the time. The speed gates make it go so fast. And let's see if that is enough to start putting on the pressure and getting more KOs.
Is it enough to start putting on the pressure and
might be
going after Twin Drive Atlas, as that's one of them kicked away? Gonna be moving up here as Megaverse, really wanting to secure this goal on this power play, but looks like Elo Heaven's going to be back up in just a second. Is Ginger Pop still sending out these pings like it's nobody's business and going to try and secure the KO onto Streak. Maybe he actually might be able to do so, even with all the buffs from being in the goalie ring. That's an ult from Vaughn, and this is looking like chaos in the Core Overflow
there it
goalie
is.
box.
So many KOs coming out, and now because of the extra stats that Ginger Pop has, right? He's finally level 10. He has the most amount of stagger from his character from the levels, and he has an additional 500 coming out between Reverberation and peak performance. So he's getting all this extra CDR plus movement speed. He has scaled. And he could even possibly get bulk up next round if they're able to take this. I'm not sure if it already appeared in the draft yet, but if it hasn't, that'll be a nice third pickup there of the Stagger Awakenings.
As far as I'm aware, I don't think that it has, and if he gets one more, like this is be huge for Ginger Pop. If he could just stay alive, they can get these couple of goals and keep getting these KOs and keep the members of Core Overflow down and out. Vaughn is going to try and help him with that, but Ginger Pop is going to get down with that burn of the stagger.
That is a sniper if I have seen one. Vaughn working his magic here on the Luna, sending in the rockets, and is able to just snipe Streak out of the goal. Absolutely huge. And one other thing is, if they're able to take this round, we have things like, I'm pretty sure like Deadeye is in the pool, which is massive, right? If Vaughn can get something like that, we're going to be seeing KOs on repeat. Like Tempo Swing, Deadeye, Bulk Up, there's so many good things for DLS to be able to pick up, but I'm pretty sure all the good stuff for Overflow is kind of already gone.
Right, exactly. You know, the way that the Awakenings fell is just sometimes how it is, because if they can scale late, they can scale late, and that's all that they need. Streak is doing a good job, especially during these power plays, of keeping this core out because of to win Drive Atlas, but eventually is going to get taken down.
Say hello to the stars. It is insane here. How can play against this? Absolute massacre. But one thing to point out here is they haven't converted this into a goal yet. They're getting so many KOs. But Core Overflow is holding it down just fine, even with all this man disadvantage that they have.
Right, and Overflow has been doing a good job, like in these power play situations where Streak goes down, is able to at least keep face and keep the pressure up, and that's all that they need. As this time Vaughn gets sent away, hasn't been KO'd much this set, but is gonna get finally knocked down here, and that's a lot of their damage getting shut down for now. Flip is up and is gonna get sent away. Vaughn is finally back online, and this time it's an Overflow who's at staggered, and I feel like we're just cycling through at this point. It's just like, oh, one person staggered, another person staggered, one person staggered, and it's just the damage keeps getting traded. And Ginger Pop is the one with the lower cooldowns.
Yes, finally this HP is helping him out so much. And one correction that I want to make for myself, I'm reading in the chat that it is Deadeye that was taken from Vaughn, which is why he is doing so much damage here. So he already has that, and they might be able to convert that into a point right here, and it is. They get the KO, a little bit of BM here, and look at that. It's actually Elo Evan who put that point in.
And these players do know each other. It's nothing crazy like that, but it is. There's a little bit of fun that they're having. There's a little bit of sauce.
Oh, and I see Tempo Swing taken too, so it's into Overflow who has Tempo Swing. So that is not in the pool. That actually changes things quite up a bit, because I did not realize that both are gone. We are trading 1-for-1 in characters here. It is Vaughn and Elo Heaven who are no longer available. Let's see if they're able to turn this into anything else. But things like, you know, because of the Awakening rotation, we don't have things like Stinger or Stagger Swagger here, which are defining, like, you know, game warping Awakenings.
Right, exactly. Those are getting just completely out of the rotation in favor of a lot of interesting new Awakenings for sure, but it means that there's not going to be a lot of chance to make sure that they are able to stay online, especially with that healing one from Stagger Swagger completely out of the rotation. You see it here, right? Like, there's just nothing that these players could do once they get low stagger if they're just getting surrounded and getting all their damage dumped onto them. As Megaverse is going to finally flip this one up, and Streak is there for the save in time, and Megaverse is going to be trying to move forward here as Vaughn gets sent back into the midfield by that hook. Maybe it's to get a better positioning on being able to actually kill him, but gets one orb, and he should be fine. This is looking really good for DLS.
Yeah, but they still have... Oh my goodness, I don't even know what that was. Okay, so I saw it on the quick replay that we had for a second. They did win this round, but it was Streak who used his Expanse, and it touched the back of Vaughn's character model. So as Vaughn was kind of driving by, he just, like, the Luna toe just touched, and that was enough to KO him. He was standing inside, I think, the death zone while touching the Expanse there. Right. Luna is able to pick up rapid fire. Absolutely big here. Castle S going to Megaverse. And one thing to keep in mind is in this new patch, Rasmus Ultimate is a creation once it stays out here. So the Castle S actually is better for Rasmus now than it was previously, because you can, especially on goalie, right? It matters more for goalie than anything else, because now you can use it to lock down an area almost like a rune pillar. but it it is going to be a big deal because it's 70% buff duration, and then you have the extra duration on the creation.
Right, exactly. Both of which really help out Rasmus here, as he's going to be benefiting massively, as Elo Heaven is... Holy cow! That, I mean, we talk about the buff special, that was crazy. Getting yoinked basically all the way from, like, 3/4 of the field, and he's gone. He's going to be back now, sure, but that was so much conversion and so much mileage that they were able to get off of that KO. Look at how close this puck is to the goal. Streak is feeling the pressure. Ginger Pop is all up in his grill. That's just going to sneak through right past his expanse. Got out a little bit too late.
And now, for the first time in the last 2 games, I feel like it is DLS who have the advantage here. They're up 1 point on this final round 5 here, and they could take this all the way to at least secure the tie in this match against Core Overflow.
Secure a tie is what they're hoping for, making sure both of these teams do not end the season undefeated. A great ultimate, saving this from being a devastating power play on the side of DLS. That goal barrier is going to fall, but Elo Heaven is still looking pretty dicey on this midfield. They can just get this core up towards Megaverse. They can try and make some crazy passing play. Into Overflow's in a good spot, but Elo Heaven's still getting bounced around. All of the abilities are just kind of getting dumped into him. He's going to try and go for Vaughn here, since In Overflow seems to have cooldowns as well. But no dice. They're not going to be able to secure it. This is Streak who's going to be able to keep things up for now, and that's finally Elo Heaven getting sent away. But a beautiful flip from Streak as he walks up, and that's going to be a goal. No power play for DLS. That's a goal for Core Overflow.
And that is something. One thing I want to point out here is that although Elo Heaven was taken out, amazing positioning while he was staggered there. He took out so many resources and so much attention from DLS that they were able to hold it down long enough. And when DLS had no cooldowns, it was at that point where Streak and Into Overflow could get that point.
Flip
Oh my
out,
goodness.
tries to get Streak, but not going to be able to do so. Finally, Vaughn has a cooldown and is able to send him to that goalie box and through the floor. Goal's open. Seems like he might not have cooldowns, and so he's waiting. Finally fires the rocket, but it's not going to be able to do anything. Megaverse tries to help out with the hook, but it's not looking like too great. Finally, Elo Heaven is back online, and so is Streak. This could be pretty good, but once again, Streak is just completely staggered and has no cooldowns. They've been doing such a good job at putting this pressure on this goalie in these last 2 volleys.
And they are up once again here. They're finding the opportunities here to take out Streak, and it is making a difference, right? Because at least with Streak gone, the attacks on the goal, even if Elo Heaven and Into Overflow are there to back them up, are way more successful here. Ginger Pop doing a little bit of flip and dip, using that core flip, but not able to make it past that expanse, so he has to hold it down here. The Atlas ultimate is out as well, so now that they have at least like 30-40 seconds here where they can convert these into actual KOs, but Ginger Pop might be the first one taken out of this next exchange. I believe that's like the second expanse here. He might have one more if he regenerated back in time, but Ginger Pop, like I said, taken out here, and it's 1-1 on the barriers. Are they able to kind of finish this off?
Are they able? Looking like not going to be able to before Ginger Pop comes back online, and Elo Heaven has no more evades. It's going to be really dicey. He's going to be trying to stick around this center of the field, and instead goes forward and tries to hop on Megaverse, who's going to be focused on saving that core. The ult, as well as the damage from Megaverse, is able to send Into Overflow flying, and so is Megaverse, as Elo Heaven positions beautifully for that death touch. Ginger Pop has the energy burst, might be able to get a sneaky, cheeky little KO on Elo Heaven if he's not careful. Both flips are up for the members of DLS, and they want to secure this. This is going to be their chance to tie this series. They can do so if they are able to use their flips correctly right here.
Oh, great patience.
Perfectly uses one. The ult does not come through in time. Ginger Pop and Vaughn have no flips and probably not a lot of cooldowns. Vaughn is just trying to stick in the backfield. Elo Heaven goes down, and this is Vaughn flying forward, trying to get this one through. Into Overflow is not going to be able to actually get in. Finally gets an intercept and is able to stall for a little bit longer, but there's the core so close. Streak is going to be able to save it for the time being, and here comes the passing plays from Core Overflow. Can they manage it? No, the hook doesn't land. They've got a flip. But no! He was getting too greedy! He saved it and didn't end up dodging the ultimate! Vaughn's here! Ginger Pop is in the face of Streak, and they're trying to get this one through! Elo Heaven doesn't get past Megaverse's hook! Int Overflow is back online once again, and this is Oni Village in a nutshell if they are going to be able to land this one. I can't keep talking.
It is absolutely insane here. The overtime speed plus the speed gauge, it's like you cannot keep up with what is happening here, and both goalies are doing an amazing job of holding it down. These are not by any means easy goals to save, and we're able to find the kill. It was actually Streak who took down Ginger Pop there, but Vaughn finding the angle, even with the man down in the top pocket, the Luna coming in clutch, and there it is, tying up 1-1. We have DLS taking the game over Core Overflow.
Wow. What a match. What a series. The fact that they made those, like we were talking about, we needed to see some adjustments, and although it was hard, those adjustments were finally what led to them finishing what they started. Superb play from DLS on every sense of the word, throwing a curveball into the face of Core Overflow, who adapted well for the time being, but a couple of good drafts and not a whole lot could be done.
I absolutely loved seeing the Vaughn Luna. It's always a sight to see. It is so good. No one else plays it, which means that the enemy team has almost no experience on it, on what to deny, right? He got pretty much best in slot across the board on the Awakenings, starting off with Prime Time, getting, I think he got Rapid Fire. He had Deadeye. He had Missile Prop. It's like how this man unchecked just ran through the lobby. It was so much damage. And then Ginger Pop, being a believer of the Church of Oki there, he was putting in the work. There were so many emotes. There was more collective emotes on that game from DLS than the entirety of NASL across every other team. It is so funny, and I'm here for it. The dark Ginger Pop arc, everything. But I'm happy to see the change-ups that came out, right? It was Vaughn swapping back to the midfield role, letting Ginger Pop play up, play X. And rather than Vaughn playing forward, I thought that was a good switch overall. Like I said, I would have liked to see if it was double midfield, something else. But I think the swap up was huge because at the end of the day, that Luna was MVP. Also, just great work, right? It was like Ginger Pop was kind of on the back foot for so long, but once he scaled, got to level 10, had those 2 or 3 stagger awakenings, he was able to put in the work. But big props, I want to say, to Megaverse on the Rasmus goalie. There are so many intricate saves there, especially on that last one where you were going crazy with the casting. It is the back-to-back saves on that goal were absolutely nuts. Using the death touch to pull, just using the primary to overlap it on top of Elo Heaven's primary, the angles. It is Oni Village overtime with speed gates is the most insane thing to protect.
Right, exactly. And he was placing those hooks in just the right spot, and he was doing it the entire match. I remember one spot that I didn't call out was when like the puck was going right towards the goal barrier on the other side, and he just tossed out a death touch and brought it right back to him and saved that goal barrier, and I ended up winning that round. It's just like those little details are really what makes the top stand out. They did a fantastic job. I believe we are going to be sending it over to Coach Yoki on the analyst desk soon. I think we have to stall for a little bit longer, making sure the technical difficulties are going to be okay. Overall, if these two teams face off in playoffs, who do you think wins?
Oh man, this is tough. But I will say, if Bells is here, I think the advantage is going to go to DLS, or at least I'm going to give it to DLS there. They always amaze me with how well they perform. And yeah, like we even saw with the massive changeup, right? Because it's not just the one person being taken out. It's not as simple as just like, okay, Bells isn't here. They didn't replace Bells with a forward player, right? It was a whole team composition that shifted. So it is Bells being taken out, which means Vaughn played forward, which Ginger Pop was still there, but then they had a new goalie as well. So all this rotation, right? Because you have to remember, Vaughn is playing goalie in NASL. So he went from goalie to forward, which is a huge transition. So just not having Bells there was a massive shakeup. And I think if they have Bells, it's a much different game. This very well could have been a 2-0 from DLS, but we'll see in the roster. As long as both teams' rosters are there, it'll be a really good match to see.
Exactly. The fact of the matter is that a lot of teams have not been able to adjust to Core Overflow's play. Them just saving all their cooldowns and then dumping their damage onto one person has been just like they're able to explode people. which has been really impressive. And the fact that DLS was able to change up and handle that and basically out damage them back was a very good sight to see. I believe you're sending this over to Coach Yoki on the analyst desk. Take it away.
I believe in Yokester. I'm a student of the game.
Saya, you're muted. All good. Tactical reset.
Okay. Stream can hear me now. Hello,
Yes,
everyone.
thank you.
I'm here with Coach Yoki on the analyst desk. The one and only nail-biter of a tie. Core Overflow getting the result they wanted. Dogleg Spike falling a little bit short, but an insane second game. But in game 1, Yoki, how was Core Overflow so dominant with their KO pressure?
Well, Saya, first of all, Core Overflow is one of, if not the best team whenever it comes to KO synergy. For as long as I can remember, even back in like beta during the beginning of like Hafu tournament, they were the team that prioritized KOs more than any team. And like during this NASL, they have just seemed so comfortable and dominant being playing off of one another. And so this kickoff specifically, I thought was extremely notable from the first game that they pretty dominantly swept. If we look, they did this kickoff, this IME strat, we'll call it, pretty consistently for most all of the rounds. Anytime the core did spawn on the side of their dominant core control player, which would be the Drakkar over the Juliet, Streak is like immediately trying to disable whoever is matching up against Int. And one thing to note is that like Int is not really using too many abilities on this kickoff, but instead it's Megaverse who is procuring Int the Rock. And then Int's able to kind of like wait for the Semi Bubble to come and engage onto Vaughn. At the same time, we have Elo who's winning the speed gate. And then we have this like Int clears it down, which baits Vaughn to like kind of walk towards the core. And then the freaking bubble's done into Elo's immediate dash punch is just a 2-second world record pace KO. And so then because of like the efficiency that Corville has, they're able to take this like man advantage and then not play for gates, but instead begin working on disabling the dominant core control player on the side of DLS. Von Dead is still a man down, but Ginger Pop has so much core control potential that their ability to move the core and influence positions of the core will be stronger if Ginger Pop is dead. So we see Streak's IME turret go down, and we'll talk about the IME turret in specific in a second. And then we have Int with a shotgun, and then Elo comes up with a beautiful like Juliet ult hitting both the goalie and Ginger Pop. And one thing to note about Streak's IME turret is he had timeless start into specialized training into cast to last. At IME like turret Exodia like for just damage really. If Streak had a 4th round and got Monumentalist, it would just be insane. But what we have is like Elo creating this pressure, causing this disturbance while also working the KO and Ginger Pop. And then that forces the core flip. And Elo uses this Juliet punch to deny the down clear from Megaverse. But we see IME turret is still ongoing this entire time. So it ends up just checkmating Megaverse, winning the first gate. A bubble there from Streak, and then Int is able to come and continue applying this like damage onto Ginger Pop. Shotgun him up once into a dash punch, securing the KO. And they're just cycling these KOs, Saya, so beautifully. And the last thing to talk about for this clip is Elo Heaven was not running a damage KO Juliet build. Elo Heaven had slit kicks, stacks on stacks, catalyst, I believe. I have it on my phone. Slit kicks, catalyst, agility, spark of agility, stacks on stacks, and was zooming. So whenever Elo Heaven has this like Speed Juliet build, he's able to control the core and apply this pressure to Megaverse, where he pitches the core down, catches it, dodges the dash punch, gets it to int overflow, and is able to position on top of Mega and just like, create this like one-sided core control all by himself, Saya.
All right, and game 1 went completely the way of core overflow, as you said, but game 2 they turned it around and with a very, very strange composition.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it is a strange composition. I wish we had the ability to have like extremely detailed analytics for like international like competitive Omega Strikers, and it's very possible this is the first time we've ever had like a very like high level match featuring Rasmus goalie with Luna midfield and X forward on Oni Village. It's very possible it's the first time we've ever had this comp in high level like coordinated pro play, unless they practice this in scrims, which to be honest I would kind of doubt. After the first game where we had Vaughn playing the forward role, I think the conversation shifted a little bit more towards Ginger Prop has been historically known for his X. For those who did not follow us during beta, Ginger Prop wasn't a brawler player, but he could play brawlers. X was a player who he has played since like pre-alpha, and Vaughn is of course is like known from his Luna towards the end of beta. And so I think they just kind of pulled out like, hey, Bells isn't here. We need a brawler. Let Ginger Prop. I tried game 1. You tried game 2, and early on, it did not go super well. They got 3-0 in set 1. They were down 2-1 by set 3, and I think honestly, my MVP for the second game is Megaverse. Megaverse held it down on Rasmus, not only defensively, but procured the rock and like created a significant amount of offensive pressure. So even in set 1 where they did lose 3-0, Megaverse just played like unreal defense, defending this top barrier with a primary and then pitching it down, applying pressure into the bottom goal barrier. And then Vaughn's like nuke kind of denies the rotation to defend this bottom goal barrier while also like, staggering Elo. And then as they transition topside to get some offensive threat, it ends up going back to the possession of core overflow, and Megaverse baits the shotgun, responds, clears it back up to Ent, and then gets a secondary pass down to Vaughn. And then as Megaverse is getting literally siphoned, all of his HP is getting yoinked. He is forced to like position away from the barrier, but then he has his hook to make this insanely tight save and transition once again to Vaughn, but Ent covers his pass, but then Megaverse follows up with his primary and secures like the core back on the offense, where now Elo and Ent are out of position because Megaverse, while getting turbo focus, like won this 1v2. And he did this throughout the entire game and allowed Vaughn and Ginger Prop to kind of do whatever they want. Here we see in the fourth set, Megaverse as well is like once again just under like a lot of pressure. Feeds this pass through Ent and Elo to Ginger Pop, which brings Streak up to the very top of his goal. But then we have Megaverse crossing midfield aggressively, like not afraid to like seize opportunity and take risk, having an available goal barrier to play aggressive and push the core. Wins the 50 on Ent and is able to like use the speed, come back and keep possession. 1 second. Sorry, I need water. This match was so good, honestly. And so, like, Megaverse was really just with the size that and how Rasmus is able to scale with size was just feeding constant good passes. We see like this offensive positioning. Once again, Ent and Elo had the core in the top side and were just pressuring Mega. He's able to just get this clean pass, and Vaughn's able to go position on offense. And the funny thing about this clip is Vaughn scored this goal, like low key, because right here, Streak uses his expanse and it hits Vaughn and kills Vaughn. That stops the expanse from gaining size to stop this angle. So then by the time Streak's able to reach it, he slightly like missed clears and then own goals, which is Megaverse's highlight, MVP Megaverse. But after that set, they were down 2-1 going into set 4. And I really want to just talk real quick about the Awakenings as we end the Analyst Test segment. The Awakenings for DLS were like turbo bis. Vaughn got Missile Prop, Deadeye, Prime Time, Rapid Fire. We'll see here in a second the full loadout. But not only did Vaughn high roll like primary Awakenings, but Ginger Pop high rolled sustain Awakenings with Reverb, Bulk Up, and Peak Performance, plus Siphoning Wand. Ginger Pop is able to maintain his presence and his positioning on Core Overflow's side of the map for an extended period of time, which enables him to out sustain even an Atlas. And that's where we get these like last two clips where that shows like how DLS ended up winning this match. Is Ginger Pop was able to just stay on streak because Megaverse was playing such phenomenal core control defense, transition to offense. It basically forced the side of Core Overflow to just respond and try to kill Ginger Pop. And because Ginger Pop had those staggered awakenings, it took time. And they ended up just out sustaining. We see Vaughn using his like Deadeye to secure a kill there and then secure the KO there with his core flip. And that is the first KO Fiesta. And then the last one that I have, Vaughn in the same vision to pick up that kill, but then starts immediately working on Int Overflow with a missile, then an X primary, and it is just clean. Megaverse bought the time, and Vaughn and Ginger Pop had the right awakenings to make use of that time to out sustain and then find like missile prop, Deadeye picks that Vaughn was able to pick up throughout the match.
All right, and thank you, Yoki, again for the Analyst Test segment. We have a crazy match coming up next. Prodigies versus Light for the last spot in playoffs. No one could have predicted this, except for me. In like week 1 or something, I said Prodigies is making it to playoffs. They could prove me right here. They could prove me wrong. I'll leave it to Mystic and Magic 8 Ball.